Some blame designer Halston's epic fall, from a superstar empire builder to a man fired from his own brand, on drugs, Studio 54 excess, and bad business decisions. Others blame Victor Hugo, the Venezuelan sex worker Halston met in 1972, dated for over a decade, and followed down a path of reckless destruction. Halston, the subject of Ryan Murphy's eponymous new limited series starring Ewan McGregor in the title role, had boyfriends before Hugo. The most notable of them was Ed Austin, played on-screen by Sullivan Jones, a handsome menswear buyer McGregor's Halston picks up within the first 5 minutes of the series in a meet-cute ripped almost directly from real life. But when that relationship fizzled, according to Simply Halston, the Stephen Gaines biography on which Netflix's series is based, the designer took to calling escorts. As Gaines writes, he would perhaps order them both a steak and a baked potato delivered up, then take them to bed and show them the door. Joe Eula, the fashion illustrator and one of Halston's closest confidants, took to calling this practice "dial a steak, dial a dick," which Halston thought was hysterically funny. One night in 1972, the young man who showed up at Halston's apartment from the call boy service changed his life. The 24-year-old told Halston that his name was Victor Hugo, a pun on his anatomy, rather than an homage to the French writer and poet responsible for Les Misérables. Believe me, he wasn't reading French literature, sniped former Vogue editor André Leon Talley in a recent interview with the New York Times. It was pure lust. I think Halston had a life that was barren of romance and tenderness, Gaines told Vanity Fair. Halston derived warmth from his friendships with women like Liza Minnelli and Elsa Peretti. His attraction to Hugo, Gaines theorized to logo, was more complicated. Halston liked being humiliated and having the shock value of having Victor around, he said. It was a whole other side to Halston. Halston liked to be on the shocking end of things. Victor would show up at Studio 54 wearing a hose over his dick. And he pissed and came on canvases for Andy Warhol. Victor also ended up being ill and had no respect for anything. He thought he was untouchable. Though Halston could be cold, cutting, and imperious later in his career, Hugo, a brash, entitled user and Warhol entourage figure, proved to be Halston's kryptonite. He couldn't get rid of him, Gaines told VF, and believe me, Victor wouldn't let him go. The year after Halston met Hugo, the designer was arguably at the top of his career, grossing nearly $30 million in retail sales, having amassed 3 prestigious Coty Awards, a fashion world predecessor to the CFDA Awards, and being deemed one of the greats by women's wear. Halston's money and Hugo's appetite for excess made the pair an accident waiting to happen, mused Telegraph in a retrospective published in 2001.